It's time for the Newsmaker Show on News Talk AM 1480 WLEA.
Good morning, I'm Brian O'Neill on the Newsmaker Show today, on the day after the election. And we know you're all electioned out. We've been covering it all morning. If you're just waking up, we'll cover it again after the 9 o'clock ABC News. We're glad to have on with us today Hornell Industrial Development Agency Director Jim Grifin. We're going to talk about the Alstom-Amtrak deal that's in the works. We're going to talk about South Yards, Gray Manufacturing, and some new companies in Hornell, as well as St. James Hospital. Welcoming now Jim Grifin from the Hornell IDA. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks, Brian. Thanks for having me.
Well, Jim Grifin, wanted to start out with the one that everybody's been talking about for months now, the Alstom deal with Amtrak. Where do we stand there, Jim?
Well, to the best of my knowledge, the details are still being worked on at the federal level, which means the agreements between the Amtrak and the Federal Railway Administration and the U.S. Department of Transportation. Those are items that have to be closed, and as like everything else, I think with the federal government, they all have their own life, and they're still ongoing. We're very confident that it'll be completed, and that the details will be completed in the next few months. And when they do get a notice to proceed, then we're ready to go. But it's a long, drawn-out procedure, and in all reality, it's a huge contract. I mean, it's like, I think it's $2.6 billion, and a lot of cars, a lot of people to work.
A lot of details and a lot of agencies to work through.
Yeah, a lot of them, and then you got, Alstom in the meantime, I know are ramping up for the contract. I mean, they've spent a ton of money. I mean, I'd hate to even guess how many millions of dollars that Alstom has already invested in the project and getting up to speed, bringing in people that are, that all the engineering that had to be gone into it, and the number of engineers that we have here in Hornell to me is mind-boggling. I mean, my guess is that there's probably 200, 250 people working in engineering and procurement here in Hornell just on projects like that. I mean, and we can't lose track of the fact that Alstom is also doing several other contracts down there now, and are out looking for additional contracts besides the Amtrak contract. So the difficulty with these big contracts, or small contracts actually, with transit cars, is that the engineering and design work that you have to put into it just to bid it. We're fortunate to have a company like Alstom who is willing to invest the money in bidding projects. It's very expensive proposition, so they're good at it, and we're very, very fortunate to have them here in Hornell.
Yeah, I'm guessing that the Alstom deal that's being worked out with Amtrak not only boosts confidence in Alstom, but also St. James Hospital?
Well, I think that the whole thing, the St. James Hospital thing, I feel really good about now. I mean, it was a difficult time for everybody, including everybody that worked at the hospital and everybody that lived in our area, because when something like that is up in the air, that when companies look at a community, we've said that 1,000 times, when we recruit companies or we talk to companies about coming to Hornell, one of the big things that we talk about is our health facilities. And if you don't have health facilities, you don't have anything. It's almost like telling people in a rural area that you can't do economic development because you don't have water and sewer. Well, you can't do it in a city like Hornell without good health facilities. So I'm just ecstatic over the fact that they have partnered up with Strong, and that things are moving along. I know that inpatient counts are way up from maybe several months ago where there weren't going to be any. So, and if the services that St. James is providing now are back up in the realm of where they were, and we're urging people to come back to Hornell. I know that our population in our area here, I know several of them, because they weren't sure. I know they went to other places. They went to some surrounding area hospitals. We're just urging everybody, to come back now. Hornell has a great health facility, a lot of exciting plans for the future. We've got some great medical people here. We got great doctors coming here, doctors coming back. It's a resurgence of health like we haven't seen in a long time here, and we're just it's going to put us in a great position going forward to the future. And also the more we support our hospital, the more patient counts that come up, the more doctors that are here, the more we utilize the hospital, the better it's going to be in the future. I mean, there are talk about new facilities being built, and of course, those are going to be built based on the usage of the facility as it goes now. So, yeah, it's 100% turnaround from a few months ago.
You know, something connected to Alstom, the Center for Excellence for Rail idea that you came up with there at the Hornell IDA, and that's your idea, Jim Grifin. Senator Tom O'Mara made an upstate revitalization application using your idea, and he credited it to you. And Senator O'Mara submitted that to the governor. Any word on the progress there?
Well, that's the competition at our regional council, and Tom O'Mara obviously is one of the leaders of it, submitted in competition with the other regions around the state. And we expect that the announcements of the winners are going to be made sometime in December. So we're waiting. I've read all the other ones: Finger Lakes application, a Western New York application, Albany, the North Country. I don't think that there's any of them that have the variety and the projects that we have here in our Southern Tier application. And one of the key ones, as far as I'm concerned, I guess I'm a little biased, but one of the key ones that would bring the Southern Tier, and the Southern Tier, when they talk about their region, goes from here, Hornell, clear down past Binghamton and up into Cornell University in Ithaca. So it's a huge region, and one of the major projects where you'd see manufacturing, which is what the governor is really pushing for, manufacturing projects. One of the ones, the best ones of them all, is the one that we're sitting on getting ready for, and that's the Alstom application, the Alstom project, which will be a 6-year program. So I think it really bodes well that the Senator O'Mara is pushing it for us with the governor's office, as we are, and we'll know sometime in December if we get the. But the other thing is, and of course they're going to give out 3 of those, and they're millions of dollar projects. But they also, in the event that you aren't one of the 3, there's still going to be a lot of money available for every region. So we're figuring that our project to bring that Center of Excellence here in Hornell has a big uptick on it, because we have a place where we're talking about utilizing part of the old SKF building as a Center for Excellence, where we would put in engineering and design, have the schools, the universities come here to train people in those disciplines, and a place also to incubate new businesses up there, where emphasis on women-owned business, minority-owned businesses, and just plain startup businesses. So we'll have places for them to begin there, and then hopefully they'll branch out into other areas in Hornell. So it's exciting.
You know, listening to you talk about this Center for Rail Excellence, and also what you said about the Alstom Amtrak deal, would businesses which are rail-related, like ATM and any other of the Alstom-related businesses in the region, would they benefit from your Rail Center of Excellence and as well as the Alstom Amtrak deal?
Oh, definitely. I know when the project was originally talked about, we talked about another 350 jobs being created with local suppliers. So it's huge. I mean, when I say local, I'm talking about Western New York, basically, and part of Central New York. But there will be a lot of it. But the biggest thing that's going to have to happen, and Alstom has put millions of dollars into their proposal to upgrade their suppliers, and that's critical because they're bringing over a new technology that's never been in the United States before. These high-speed rail vehicles have never been built or produced in the United States, and the technology has been in, for instance, maybe Japan, but Europe, and the European technology coming over here. So they're going to have to bring all of their suppliers up to speed on what is required of them in order to be able to provide the components and so on for this high-speed rail. So we're going to be working with Alstom to set up places to train their suppliers, and they even have money, I know, for training of the suppliers' people and also equipment that they might need in order to bring them up to speed on this. So it's going to reach out all over. I mean, and we're fortunate here that we have companies like TTA, Transit Air, ATM, Gray Manufacturing, Bradley Supply. I mean, we go on and on and on with the number of suppliers we have here in the Hornell area, Crane Tech up in Arkport. So it'll affect a lot of people, and hopefully very positively in the next few years.
The IDA in Hornell has been working on getting the South Yards building that Alstom was using and getting that transferred over to Gray Manufacturing. Wondering, does that have anything to do with the Alstom Amtrak deal, or can you tell us, Jim Grifin?
No, it really stands on its own. Gray Manufacturing has been going along, doing very well, and got a couple of major contracts. One recently with Chicago, and they need more room. They have been leasing that building down there from Alstom for, I guess, 3 or 4 years, and Alstom has not been utilizing it. And when the Gray proposed that they'd like to lease the whole building, they'd like to lease it from the IDA. We talked to Alstom about it. We asked Alstom if they would be interested in giving the building up, or if they have plans for it, and if their plans for the future, like for the Amtrak contract and thing, would that building be utilized by them, or would they have a use for it? And basically, they came back and said, "Not really. We don't have a use for that building, and we'd be willing to give it up." Well, it's an ideal situation for us because if they're willing to give it up, and then Gray is willing to buy it, which is what we're working on, and we expect to have that transaction completed probably within the next couple of weeks. Gray would be taking over the building entirely, and it has nothing to do, I'm sure in the future, Gray would be utilizing it if they get some of the contracts, but it was not contingent on the Amtrak contract at all.
Well, we're talking with Jim Grifin, the director of the Hornell IDA, Industrial Development Agency. When we get back, we'll talk about Hornell Partners for Growth, a new company called System One, and some of the new businesses, as well as Trikeenan and some other existing businesses in the Hornell area. Stay with us here on the Newsmaker Show on AM 1480 WLEA. I'm Brian O'Neill on the Newsmaker Show with Hornell IDA Director Jim Grifin. Jim, wanted to ask you, Trikeenan, a great business in Hornell, anything new there?
Trikeenan Tile has been moving along fairly well. They've had some ups and downs in the tile business, and I've met with the president of Elgin Butler, who owns Trikeenan Tile, 2 weeks ago. He was very upbeat about. They have new management over there. They're working on new products, some new art tile, and they are very, very upbeat about their future. They've had some difficult times. We worked through it with them, and our local bank, who's involved, also has worked with them, and they have completed they went through a bankruptcy, and they've stepped out of that and are back in operation. Appear to be moving in the right direction, and they're quite encouraged about the operation of the plant today. So, thank goodness.
How about System One? You know, before the show started, you were talking to me on the phone about System One. Tell us about that.
Well, it happened that just today or yesterday we were working with. We've been working with a company called System One out of Pittsburgh for quite a while, and what they do is they recruit major people for these companies, and most of them in management and engineering, design, people like that, highly skilled people for many companies. One of the ones, obviously, that they're working for is Alstom, but in the southern tier, they decided that they were going to set up a center for transportation expertise, and it goes along with our looking at the Center for Manufacturing Excellence. They're going to be working and recruiting for other companies other than Alstom, so like CAF in Elmira and Celebrate over in Dansville and like that. So they need an office to set up in Hornell, so they're going to be renting space in our IDA chamber building here on Main Street, and they will be bringing in, assigning 2 to 3 staff recruiters who will be working out of the office, and they'll be bringing in people from all over the United States to Hornell to interview, to talk about coming here. So it's an opportunity for us to meet these people as they come. We have a problem that Sean and I have discussed with you and many other people. Housing is a problem that we have to address. We're actively soliciting developers from around the Rochester, Buffalo, Syracuse, Southern Tier area to come and see what we can do about the future of housing needs in our area, and talking to them about converting apartments. One of the ones that certainly was a success was the Federation building, the upscale apartments that they fixed in that building and the prices that they asked for them. Everybody's in Hornell, and every single one of them are leased. So there is a market here, and our people at System 1 are going to be working with us to recruit people to our area, and that's very, very upbeat, I would say.
Talking with Jim Grifin from the Hornell IDA. Hornell Partners for Growth. Are they a part of the IDA, the Chamber? They're a part of the Chamber of Commerce, right?
Well, originally the Chamber of Commerce formed Hornell Partners for Growth. Actually, it was put together the Business Improvement District, and the Chamber up front of the monies to set up a Business Improvement District. And the idea of it was a Business Improvement District is a defined area under which for years the local merchants in downtown Hornell and our local merchants wanted to control their own destiny, do their own promotions, and so on and so forth, and they never could put together a significant amount of money consistently to run a downtown promotion. So Sean Hogan and I, several years ago, sat down, did a little brainstorming, and Sean came up with the idea, why don't we form a Business Improvement District? And we took that on as a project. We formed it, and then it became HPG. And the thing was, it was not real upbeat. We were quite disappointed. However, in the last year or so, 2 years, we have a new director of HPG, Shelley Stevens, and Shelley has done an outstanding job in revitalizing the whole idea of what a business improvement district does. And as a result of it, her expertise in social media has been great, but we recognized that it was only for the little business improvement district that we had, and yet our Chamber of Commerce represents businesses in Arkport, Canisteo, Alfred Elman, Howard, throughout the whole area. And when you're talking about putting on social media events that are happening, she was limited to just events that were happening in that business improvement district. We now, by joining both boards of directors, passed resolutions in the last 2 months to go together on all of the promotions so that we can advertise together on social media our businesses, not just limited to the business improvement district. So if you have Arkport Summerfest or Canisteo Crazy Days or Alfred's Hot Dog Days, any of those things, those can all go on. And any businesses that are outside that are members of the chamber will benefit also from that. So that it benefits all of us, and it gives the chamber an opportunity to also expand to other businesses throughout the area.
Talking with Jim Grifin from the Hornell IDA. Jim, new businesses in Hornell. No lack of that.
No, it's been great. I mean, I think that it's exciting around Hornell. I mean, I know that the Alstom thing hanging out there has a lot to do with it, but the hospital getting straightened out in the downtown, and Shelley doing a great job with promoting the business improvement district.
A promotional guru.
Yeah, she's resulted. You know, she's done a good job. I think a lot of credit for a lot of the new businesses has been her efforts and talking people into coming into downtown, working with them. I mean, we also have provided, assistance to some of the businesses to get going. We have a regional revolving loan fund that we can bring to bear for downtown for businesses actually throughout the whole area. It's interesting because we have our regional revolving loan fund has funded. We have 2-3 breweries, a cidery in the area that have been funded, and those also fall into the realm of our promotional efforts for our whole area. I mean, a lot of them are small businesses that are starting up, and those are the ones that we are really encouraged with. It's ones that we've had, I don't know how many ribbon cuttings we've had recently in downtown, but we also have seen expansions of businesses like up in the Walmart Plaza with new Kate Jewelers. I think we have a new wireless Verizon store going in up there, opening up in the next week or two. And these are all indications that there's a vibrant retail market down here. As a matter of fact, one of the things that we've said is that was shocking even to our Chamber of Commerce was that the shopping population of Hornell, and this comes from places like Lowe's, tell us themselves that the shopping population for that store is 130,000 people. Now, when you first look at Hornell, you look at a city with 9,000-10,000 people, and you think, wow, not a lot of business there. But when you look at the shopping population, it's mind-boggling. 130,000 that come to our area to shop. So it's a great place to shop.
We've been talking with Hornell IDA Director Jim Grifin. Jim, was there anything I did not bring up that you want to talk about?
You really have covered most of them. I think the only other thing is one of the things that we wanted to emphasize too is that as the Hornell Chamber of Commerce also is the Better Business Bureau for our area. We have provided Better Business Bureau support for our companies and also for people if they have complaints. They can call our Better Business Bureau. We're affiliated with the Rochester and Buffalo Better Business Bureaus, and we also provide health insurance. And right now, it's critical, the health insurance questions that people have because of the opening of the new registration time.
The exchange.
We have an expert that does nothing but that for our chamber and is on our staff, really. So they can call the chamber. We'd be glad to help them with the health part of it.
Hornell IDA Director Jim Grifin, always great having you on. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you, Brian. Thanks a million.
It's AM 1480, WLEA Hornell. ABC is next.